All right. Hey guys, this is Richard DeFord from Doc Pens, and I just wanted to take a moment to share a video of something that I think is valuable for you, especially if you are a new fountain pen user, um, because I hear this question a lot, and I thought I would take a moment just to kind of explain um, what I'd go through when I have a slow writing pen or a slow to start pen. So I'm going to use this as a demo pen for this video. This is a beautiful pen by Abby Makarov. And this pen does not have a slow writing problem, but it's so beautiful I wanted to share it with you while I do this demo. So at any rate, what I'm going to do is just kind of take it apart here and show you some of the things that you are looking for if you have a pen that is slow to start. So um, this is called the section, this is called the barrel, and this is the nib. Those are the three things there that are the main parts of the pen. There are some other minor ones as well, but those are the three things that I'll be referring to during this video. So on your nib, the reason why a pen starts slow is usually because of a nib alignment problem. And so I'm going to show you how to check the alignment of the nib and how to fix the alignment of the nib in many cases. Now there's a little bit of a disclaimer here. I want to tell you that you can mess up the nib if you're not careful. So I encourage you to experiment on maybe some nibs that are on some lesser used pens that you have that you don't care for as much, that maybe has a writing issue, and maybe this will prompt it to become a better writing pen for you. So but don't do this on your Abby Makarov pens for sure. So, but at any rate, so this is a Yowo number 6 nib. That means it's size number 6, made by Yowo is the brand. There's a few different nib manufacturers. The two main ones that you'll see typically are Yowo and Bach. And they all make different sizes, but at any rate, this is a Yowo number 6. And so what we're going to check first, the very first thing to check, is this black part here that's attached to the nib and the section is called the feed. And this feed needs to be perfectly aligned in between the two tines at the end of the nib. So the line that make up the two tines, you may have a 3-tine nib. The flex nibs often have 3 tines. But you want to make sure that it's perfectly in the middle. If it's off to the side, one side or the other, even a little bit, just detectable to the human eye, it will cause potential feed issues when you write. So the way you fix that, if it's just off a little bit, I'm not going to really do that on this because first off, it's not a problem, but second off, it's inked and I don't want to get ink all over myself. But you're going to just use your thumbnail, or you can fold up a piece of paper towel, and you can push this one side or the other, and you'll see it move. It moves relatively easy, and you just want to get it to align perfectly so that that split there is right in the center of the nib. Okay, so that's a common issue. Um, so we'll address that. The next thing that you want to do is I'm going to take the barrel apart from the section. All right, and I use converters. There are also cartridge filled, but I don't care for those. I like to use the converters. So on this converter, you also want to make sure that this is fully seated into the top of the nib unit inside the section. So sometimes there might be a slight space in there. Maybe somebody didn't push it down enough. Maybe they didn't want to, they were concerned about breaking it. Maybe it's shipped that way, or maybe it even came loose during shipping. Who knows? But what you'll do is, with a paper towel, if the pen is inked, you want to hold on to the nib unit firmly and push the converter in and make sure that it's good and seated. You may have that problem also with a cartridge. If the cartridge has not been seated well enough to break the seal, those cartridges ship with a little bit of a seal inside the entry point there, and there's a tip on the end of this nib unit that cartridge will sit on, and it has to push into and pop that seal. And that's not done, your pen's not going to write. So same way with the converter, you want to make sure that that it is firmly seated on that nib unit. Okay. The third thing to look at is the nib itself. We've talked about the feed. We've talked now about the converter or the cartridge inside the section to the nib unit. But now we're going to talk about the nib itself. And so you see the two tines here. Hopefully you can make that out. And the two tines have this line in between. If you have a three tine, same way. And as you write with it, if you press a little too hard or at an angle, or if you dropped it, or if it just wasn't done right from assembly, who knows. But one of the tines can be slightly over the other, with the other one slightly under it. They need to be perfectly side by side, not one or the other, over or under. They need to be perfectly side by side. That is aligned. Okay, and the other thing is this line, they have to be, they cannot be touching. In other words, if they're really, really tight together, you're going to have feed problems. So there needs to be some separation there. Now, it's not a lot. It's a very minuscule amount. If you have enough separation there, for example, that you could get your thumbnail into, that's probably going to be too much separation. So it's really, really a fine separation. But what I'm going to show you how to check that. You can go onto Amazon and purchase one of these. This is a thickness gauge, or what they call a feeler gauge. It's stainless steel, and they're about $4. They run all the way up to, I saw one for $37, which I think is crazy. But you can pick one of these up for $4. And what this has is various pieces of stainless steel that are a different thickness. Okay, so you'll see varying thicknesses of each of these. And you're not going to use, I mean, that would be way too thick to separate your tine with. But what you want to do is get one of these that are about, I typically will use the one that's, I have to feel them. The 20 millimeter is a good one. Okay, it's 0.20 millimeters. Okay, and so what I will do is I'm going to take the nib, and I'll show you. If you can see, there's the hole there. If it's a Schiefer pin, it's got a heart. Other pin manufacturers have different things that they do there, but I just take this, put it on the corner, put it into the hole, and just very slightly and gently wiggle it and slide it into, so that I can separate. You see how it's separating there? All right, I just want a little bit of separation. And you can actually, this is might even be, because I've already done this with this pin, might even be a little too thick. You can start smaller and work your way up. I'm going to go to the 18 millimeter. And I'm just going to slowly, on the corner, slide it into the hole. All right, and I'm just going to get some separation there. That's all I want, is just a little bit of separation. Okay, because again, if it is really, really tight in there, you're going to have feed issues. And that takes 2 minutes to do. If your pen is inked, you're going to have just a little bit of excess that's going to come off on the back side there. So just dry that off. All right. And that's good. So then at that point, I'm going to reassemble it. All right, I'm going to get my notepad here and do kind of a little writing test with it. You'll see just how beautiful this pen writes here. It's got a medium nib, and it is so smooth. So that is all you need to do if you want to adjust your nib or do a basic adjustment of your nib. Of course, there's also grinding and all of that you can do as well, but that takes a little more expertise. For you beginners, this is definitely the best things to look for if you have a slow starting pen. All right, thanks so much from Doc Pens, www.docpens.com, or all of our socials. Look up Doc Pens. We'd love to have you visit and say hi. Have a great night and a Merry Christmas.